Well, welcome to the third installment of the videos for this class. We are going to go through and look at the Canvas options here. We're going to look at the Files menu, and one more time we're going to look at the lectures just to make sure you guys got it from the previous lecture. So here it is. Here's the home page. As you go through it, this should be everything that you need to be doing throughout the class. I kind of listed all in the first page. It's kind of stated as announcements, but really the announcements are your work through everything. All right. I'm not going to go into this part. This is for the last lecture here, but the publisher website, publisher resources that you have is an ebook of the textbook itself, and it is a full functioning ebook. Everything that you have on the textbook itself is right here. So you do not need to purchase a physical textbook in your hand. If you want to, you can, but you don't have to. All right. This one gives you a PDF version of how to input things into the homework here. All right, and here's all the homework right over here. Chapter 0 is optional, as I've said before. And then we really start by doing an intro course here. And then from here on out is the homework. All right. That's what I'm just going to mention right here. We got to go back to just talking about this right here. We already talked about the syllabus. That was the previous lecture. And there it is. All right, grades. I'm not going to go into it, but yes, these are the grades for the class. They already have been weighted already. And so it is a matter of you just finishing up the course in there as well. Let's hit the Files menu. Files menu is somewhat important. When you click on here, the How to XYZ Homework PDF, that's going to be the same thing that you're going to get off of the home page as well. This is just how to input data. So how do you input data into the online homework? Is sometimes you have this little up arrow inside a yellow rectangle or orange rectangle. If you click on it, it gives you this little palette that opens up. And if you want to input fractions, you can make this right here. If you want to put an exponent, a square root, any kind of root. Here's your absolute value, some parentheses, and pi, infinity, and does not exist. And so what this really is made for is that you can enter the answer just like it would appear on a sheet of paper if you were actually doing the work on a sheet of paper. All right, so play with it, especially in chapter 0 and or in the how-to on the XYZ. That would be good too. Alright, you can click a preview button. That's also very, very helpful. Click the preview button and it'll show you what you've just inputted, at least how the computer is putting it in. Syntax OK right here. What this means is the variable and the answer sort of makes sense. Doesn't mean it's correct, but at least it makes sense. So if you're solving for x and you put a z inside here, it's going to say syntax error. Variable does not match. So it just kind of gives you at least a little bit of indication if you're headed in the right direction. Alright, but I would suggest maybe printing this out just as a little reference somewhere, just in case you need to input this very quickly. And here's just a quick way of how to input any kind of functions here. So you could click SQRT with a parenthesis and close parenthesis. That's kind of like the computer language. Or you could use that little math quill we just talked about. You click the math quill right here and you click number 3 and it'll produce the square root symbol inside here. So it depends how you want to do it. I do want to mention the most frequent error that we get here. If you're putting in fractions and you want to do it the computer way of doing it, read this little last piece of the examples because parentheses are so important. When you have fractions, parentheses are very important how you input things. All right, I'm going to kind of leave that up for you to do. All right, next on the Files menu are the Assignments page. Here it is. I printed this out. Just a quick glance real quick here if you need to. If you want to print this out, if you're type A personality, just need to have it on the wall, see when things are due, and kind of just cross them out as you do them. That's perfect. To-do list kind of person. So I made this just so you guys can do that right here. Optional for you to print out. I did put a little question mark in regards to the midterm, and if this changes, then I will change it too. But I'm just going to put an arbitrary date. This is when chapter 8 finishes. I'm not sure if it's going to be Monday or Tuesday of that week, but there's there's at least a little placeholder for that. Then we go with Chapter 5, Chapter 6, Chapter 7, 8, 9. And then again, I kind of put an arbitrary question mark for the final. Most likely somewhere in here, sometime we'll take a final. Alright, so there's that. Again, it is for you. Alright, the important ones here. These two here are the study guides that I have created. This is for the midterm exam. Let me show you how to read it. So midterm exam covers chapters 1 through 4, and the first column tells you which question it is on the exam. So if you scroll down here, you find out, whoa, we have 30 questions on the exam. Alright, so this is the question on the exam. The second column tells you where it's coming from. So notice you guys are doing chapter 1 right now. There are no midterm questions from 1.1. There are no midterm questions from 1.2, nor from 1.3. For 1.4, there are 4 questions. There you go. That's a good highlight right there. So there are 4 questions that are going to come from 1.4, and the instructions are those just like this. Solve the following equation for the given variable. Now when you do the homework for 1.4, you will probably run into these questions. So my suggestion, how to study for the midterm, go back to your homework. Go back to your homework, particularly the ones that have this as the directions. And so solve the following equation using the 4 steps shown in this section. Alright, as you scroll down, remember there's no 1.5 that's going to be tested on the midterm. There's no 1.6 nor 1.7. In fact, 1.7 is skipped anyways. 1.8, there are 4 questions coming from 1.8. And again, you should be able to do these questions on the midterm. Alright, as you scroll through it, you find out the midterm comes from chapters 2, 3, and 4. So there it is. So we should be taking a midterm after we complete chapter 4. The final is exactly the same setup. So goes 1 to 30. So there's 30 questions on the final. Notice also it does go all the way back to 1.4. So whatever you were tested in 1.4, you'll have a problem that's very similar to it. It tests all the way from chapter 2. Notice just 1 question is from chapter 3, 1 question is from chapter 4. And then the test is kind of chapter 5 through 9 heavy. So there's a little more questions since those were not tested yet. And so there's what you need to know for the final exam. And again, these are the directions that you probably should go back to the homework, look at these particular directions. Alright, so that's the files menu. Discussion boards, as stated previously, we will start discussion boards in a little while. I will send you out an email. They last about a week. I'll give you a due date as they go, and you have that time to put in the discussion boards and as well as reply to others. Now these gray ones out, meaning I have it as mine, but you don't have it. So I'm going to skip those. Modules is the exact same thing as our front page. Our home page are modules. That's what they're built from. So there it is. It just doesn't have the announcement title here. Confer Zoom. We should mention this. I'll mention it more as this is the way we're going to do our virtual online office hours. I will set up the office hours template, and then I think what we'll do is I'll announce it over here, and I'll probably book an appointment for those people that are wanting to come in, so that I know how many people I should expect on it, and we'll get used to it as we go through it. So Confer Zoom, that's the way we will hold our online office hours. The other thing that I want to show you is there's something called NetTutor. NetTutor, we have a contract with NetTutor. Every single student at West Hills College has 40 free hours to spend on this site. And it is a tutoring service in which every single person here that's tutoring has at least a bachelor's degree in the field. So it's not just limited to the math class. If you have a class in accounting, you need some help in accounting, click on that, keep on going. Alright, let's go to our class. Our class particularly here as we jot it down here. There it is, math, and we're going to look at algebra. When you click on that, you have one of two choices here. So you can meet with a live tutor, and again you have 40 free hours that you can use up talking to a tutor. Alright, or you can drop off a question. There's your kind of two choices here. Talk with someone, drop off a question that you have, and they should respond within 24 hours to you. And then this little third one down here, it's just a videos of your previous sessions or the feedback of the dropped questions. So in case you forgot what they said that one time last week when you were in the online tutor, you have that as something you can go back to. Again, really neat. Please tell me if it is. I like the setup. I like the fact that there are people with degrees that are willing to help you. But tell me how this works functionally as well. Please do give me your comments to it throughout the semester. Alright, so that is it for the Canvas site. This is all the stuff you need here. Let me jump back to the front. Alright, and then we talked about the Files menu particularly, so you know here. Alright, and then I just want to briefly again show you the YouTube channel, just so you guys are aware of it. That's where you're getting most of the content from. Alright, if you go to the YouTube channel, what you're going to do is you're going to go and search for Math 4B. It's a web channel I developed a long time ago here. Clicking on that, you will get to this little gray box with the M inside it, Math 4B. Clicking on that, you're going to get to playlists. You probably want to get to the playlists right here, and you're going to search for, not created a playlist would probably be better. Alright, you're going to search for Math 64 lectures or M64 lectures. Clicking on that. And if you click through the playlist, these are all going to be in order. If you just randomly pick them, they're not going to be in order, and you're going to be frustrated trying to find out which video you need here. But this is starting in Chapter 0, and again, Chapter 0 is optional. You can go through. This is the content for the class. This is me recording lectures that I had from previous classes that go with this class. So if you click on Chapter 1, alright, let me explain something here as well. So notice it does a Chapter 2.1. So this class here is a combination of two different classes, Algebra 1 and Algebra 2, sort of combined together. And so what I had to do is had to go back to previous years I've taught this class and connect which sections go with the sections in this textbook. So Math 64, this is Chapter 1, and the video is going to cover sections 1, 2, and 3. And it's the lecture to them right there. And then in parentheses, this is kind of gets me the connection of where it was previously. This is our old Math 61, Chapter 2, sections 1, 2, and 3. So, but as long as you went through the playlists, the good thing is these guys are all in order. So this really is the content for the class. Here's all of Chapter 1. This is sections 1, 2, and 3. Here's Section 4. Here's sections 5, 6, and 7. Then also over here, I do have a homework review. Technically, Chapter 6 is really difficult, so I made an extra little lecture here of the homework questions. There's random homework questions I put together just to go through it. This is from the textbook itself. All right, so just kind of some helps to go along the way here. Section 8 lecture and Section 9 to finish off the chapter. And then you can just kind of keep on scrolling down as you go. Alright, notice also in Chapter 1 we are not doing Section 7, right? So you can forgo that lecture as well. So there's a few here that we won't do, sake of time. Alright, and that is the review of the Canvas site, the Files menu particularly, and the lectures. Thank you for watching, and hopefully this will help you in your venture in Math 64.